Hello, my name is Sally Pinto, and I'm the Program Director for the Yonkers Newark Neighborhood Naturally Occurring Retirement Community. We serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We are under the auspices of WJCS and the Yonkers Office for the Aging. We also have a resource specialist and a nurse on staff. We conduct virtual programming in partnership with the Yonkers Public Library on a daily basis. Enjoy the program.
Everybody, yeah, Mary, Sally, Z, Alexis, all our team here, anybody who's ever been with us before, anybody who might be with us in the future, thanks for making this possible. It's when we gather together that this is possible. I'm excited to be here with you as always. I feel like we've had a great run of classes, a great vibe going, and I'm really feeling a lot of gratitude for our time together. I'm especially grateful for some of the insightful questions at the end of last week's class. And there was a specific focus on balance and a request to maybe do some more balance-specific work. Balance is crucially important, vitally important as we go about the world and we see people doing things like getting into and out of cars. When I see them walking around grocery stores, you notice people's ability to balance, ability to have strong what's called proprioception, to sense our body in space, to know how far things are from us and how we can move around things. That's all balance, proprioception, our sense of ourself in space. Crucial skill, a skill many people, all people need to always work on developing more. And balance is also a unique spiritual skill, I think. So as I was thinking about putting this class together and I was thinking all the physical balance we could focus on, I was also thinking about the spiritual or emotional balance. When I was living in a religious community recently, I had a wonderful spiritual director, a teacher, a guide, a mentor, very wise figure. And we were talking a lot about balance. And one of the most insightful things he shared with me that I sort of repeat to myself as a mantra that I've received in life is that balance requires freedom and freedom requires balance. And so that might be a spiritual sort of emotional insight for you today. But it also certainly holds true physically, and it is what will sort of guide our workout today. We find freedom first, freedom in our movement. We get warm and allow our body the ability to start moving through space more and more freely. And when we do that, we need to keep balance in mind. And the more freedom we have in our movement, the more freedom we have in our heart, the more balance we'll have in our movement, the more balance we'll have in our heart. And those are two good things to keep in mind, I think, freedom and balance. So we have our workout today. There will definitely be a focus on balance, especially in the second half of the class when we do our standing exercises. And next week, we'll follow up with that even further. So it's been a good reflection for me to think about balance. Happy to share that with you. But of course, it'll be a good workout and feel like pretty similar to many of the things we do before. So we'll have our warm up. We'll have our exercises out of the chair. We'll have our standing exercises. If you haven't been with us before, that's the basic pattern. Spend the first half of the class in the chair or so warming up. Second part of the class, we stand up and get really into some of the movements and some of the mobility. And then we finish with a meditation period. And as we're working out, generally, we're looking at working for 40 seconds and resting for 20, keeping that 2-to-1 ratio between when we're working intensely and when we're resting and recovering, both equally important pieces, learning to actively recover, learning to actively work, to keep those in balance, to be free in both of those times and spaces. So that's it for me. Yeah, we'll get into our warm up and then our seated exercises, then our standing exercises. We've got a poem to close with today, one of my favorite ways to meditate, thinking about sort of mantras and those sacred words or phrases or insights or images that come to us, are given to us, and that we let affect and move and guide us. But to start off, we like to start off with just getting our breathing into a nice rhythm. We want to learn to sit really well with good posture in our chair. So let's move towards the front of our chair. Let's find a good upright posture. We want our core engaged. We want to be imagining that there's a little string just lifting us up through the crown of our head, getting nice and tall through our stomach, lifting each part of the spine up, reaching nice and tall through our core, through our chest, legs supporting underneath us, feet flat on the floor. Let's have our arms resting just gently in our lap for now. Let's just start off with a few deep breaths. We want our shoulders to be sitting down and back, rolling back slightly. and down. Then we just want to breathe deeply into our nose. Allow our stomach to expand on the in-breath. Breathe into that stomach first and foremost. Hold that breath deeply and then exhale fully. You can exhale fully out of your nose or mouth, whatever feels most comfortable at this point. Just a few deep breaths on your own to get the breathing into a good rhythm. Beginning to clear away any distractions, beginning to become aware of your body. Breathing deeply in through your nose, the stomach's expanding, breathing fully out of your mouth. Good posture, good awareness, sensing your whole body, noticing what parts are cranky, what parts are feeling good. Deep breath in through the nose, notice where the freedom is. Full exhale out of the mouth, finding your good posture, your center again. Excellent. Then let's have our hands fall nice and gently towards our side, and we're going to do some of those half moon poses, some side bends involving incorporating our breathing along the way, coming out of the yoga tradition. So we're going to inhale our arms up deeply in through our nose, inhaling, arms coming up. Let's bring those palms together, biceps in towards the ear. Exhale gently and fully out of the mouth. Inhale, arms back up overhead. Exhaling, arms out to the side. Right back into the next inhale, the arms up. Palms coming together, biceps in towards the ear, bending over towards the right. Still good posture, full stretch coming through the side of the body here. Exhaling out of the mouth. Inhaling the arms back up. Holding for a moment, reaching up overhead. Exhale, arms to the side. Going back right into it. Inhale the arms up overhead. Palms coming together. Gently leaning back, going into a back bend. Exhaling fully. Inhaling back forward. Exhaling, arms to the side. Let's move towards the front of our chair. Kick those heels out slightly. Inhale, arms coming up overhead. Exhaling forward into a forward bend. Reaching as far as we can, using the arms to support us. Can hold on to the calves, the knees, wherever feels comfortable. Exhaling, going deeper into the stretch. Inhale, let's come halfway back up. Make eye contact with the screen. Chest is open, supporting myself. Exhaling down deeper into the stretch. Inhaling the arms back up. Exhaling out to the side. Good. Some good breathing, just getting the upper body loose, the whole area around the lung, the rib cage, all that, getting that ready to go. Nice and happy. Let's be sitting upright again, finding that good posture, core engaged, sitting upright. We're going to reach our wrist out in front of us, and we're just going to start doing some wrist circles. Just getting the arms warmed up here, the wrists, the elbows. Let's go the opposite direction. Good, let's just put our hands, extending our palms, our fingers fully rather, just ups and downs. Remembering that good posture, that good breathing throughout. Let's go side to side here. Palms flat. Good. Let's just open our fingers wide. Then into his fist, squeezing the fist. Gentle movement at first, but getting more vigorous, more intense as we feel warmed up. As the blood's starting to flow, maybe we're starting to sweat a little bit, breath is getting heavier. That's when we increase the intensity of our movement, listening to our body. Wiggle those fingers about wherever you want to go randomly. And then exhaling, just let those arms fall to the side. Good. Next up, we're going to cross our legs. So we're going to sit over like this, sitting nice and tall still. And we're going to use our left arm to sit up nice and tall in our chair. We're going to pivot around to our right and look over our right shoulder. My right arm can be used to help me sit up nice and tall. We want to be sitting nice and tall and reaching fully around to our side as far as the range of motion can go. And we're just going to sit there and twist and hold this twist while breathing deeply for a few moments. As we inhale, we reassert that posture, find that posture. Exhaling, we go deeper into the turn. Inhaling, sitting nice and tall. Exhaling deeper into the stretch. On your next inhale, let's return to our center position. Let that left leg fall off. Finding a good posture again, always reminding ourselves of good posture. We're going to bring our right leg over. We're sitting up nice and tall. Using that right arm to start our open shoulder turn. Using our left arm to get nice and tall through our posture. Sitting nice and tall here. Looking over that left shoulder. Make this feel good for you. Feel the core getting loose, the chest opening up. As you inhale, find that posture, sit tall through the core. Imagine that string lifting the crown of your head up. As you exhale, go deeper into the turn. On the next inhale, let's turn back to the front. Exhaling, release that leg. Good. Continuing to warm up our midsection here. Let's just get some gentle arm circles going. So my fingers are pointing out directly to the side. Tight arm circles at the shoulder. Good posture, deep breathing, big smiles. We know the cues. And let's turn our palms up and do reverse circles. So now we're going backwards with my palms facing up. And good, exhaling, let those arms fall to the side, shaking everything out, always getting nice and loose, and then coming back to our posture. One more move to start to transition into our balanced, focused workout here. Just some toe taps. So we're sitting towards the front of our chair, and we're just going to pick 3 imaginary points out in front of us, and starting with the left leg, reaching out with our toe to those 3 points, out to the left, out in front, off to the right somewhere, reaching across the body, moving at our own pace as far out as we could reach and still feels comfortable without compromising our good posture. My chest is still engaged, nice and up. My core is still engaged, and I'm reaching as far as I can with my toe. But this is getting us into that balance work, our ability to sense our body in space, to control our body in space. Let's switch legs here, coming out to the right, coming out in front, reaching across the body. Let's go a few more here. And pause. Good. Okay. Next up, we're going to be moving into 2 rounds of our seated exercises, 40 seconds or worse, 30 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. You know the pattern. We got 5 exercises. Going to start to get us into some of that balance work. Special focus on the standing exercises and our balance work here. We're going to start off with just basic leg extensions, classic movement we always do and like, very important. We could throw in a double leg extension if we're feeling really fit this morning, a little bit more tough on the core. That'll be a more difficult version to use. Oftentimes, I'm going to give you a little bit of a simpler version, a more difficult version, especially on this balance stuff. Find the version that feels like a good challenge for you, but that you could do well for the full 40 seconds. That's always the cue and the guideline. I'll try to give you options, but you're always adapting to where you feel best and what feels best for you. So we got leg extensions. Then we're going to do an alternating overhead press. Good exercise to have some water bottles in your hand or a couple cans if you have those near, a few hand weights. If you don't, just using your mind will work just as well. Alternating overhead press. We're thinking about pressing over our head. The work is being done on the way up. That's our second exercise. Third, getting us really into balance, crucial for balance, our calf health. Our calf muscles down here, our ankle health, getting all those calf and ankle muscles really happy. So we're pushing up nice and strong under our toes, using our arms to resist and make those calf muscles work more. We want to think about being a ballet dancer, a ballerina, whatever it is, really coming up nice and high and fully on the toes. That's going to work the whole of the calf muscle, crucial for balance. Fourth movement is going to be horizontal row. So we'll be sitting upright, pulling back, really imagining that we're pulling a weight back. Fifth movement, we're going to do squat to stand, and we're going to come up onto our toes. So in the first round, if we're still getting warmed up, we might not come up all the way onto our toes, but the goal will be to come up and do a squat and then come up onto our toes. Nice and controlled. This is going to really start to work on our balance. We got to come up into that squat in a nice controlled manner and then finish up on our toes and come back down nice and controlled. That's what we're aiming for today. If that gets to be a little too hard, you feel yourself off balance, we could come up and do a squat. I want you to do a full circle turnaround, come back down into a squat. That's another version there. But the main version is going to be squat up onto the toes into a full calf extension. That's our balance focus for today. Those are the 5 exercises. I'll give more cues as we go along, but let's jump right into it and start moving. We got leg extensions first. We got 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. Let's do it in 3, 2, 1. So just a good single leg extension to start. Good squeeze in the quad muscles. Sitting up nice and tall, feeling that core engaged. Still getting warmed up, still finding our rhythm here. We'll be able to push with a little bit more intensity next round if we want. Just finding the pattern of the movement, getting comfortable with it. We're going to work for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent job there. First exercise. Next up is going to be alternating overhead press. Fine just to use your hands and your mind. Really imagine pushing the weight up, that mind-muscle connection. We could tell our muscles to turn on nice and powerfully. But if you got 2 little hand weights, 2 little equally sized water bottles, 2 little cans, that might just add a little fun to the workout this morning. We're doing alternating overhead press, starting in 3, 2, 1. Punching up right over our head, nice and high. Really imagine we're pushing a weight up in the air. Let's work hard for 5 here. And pause. Good. You could always hold on to those little weights or anything throughout the workout. If it helps you to feel strong, add a little something. Those are great to incorporate into a lot of our movements. But next up, we're going to be doing calf raises here. So we're using our arms, pushing down to resist our toes, our heels coming up off the ground, our toes pointing, calves involved. So these calf muscles, the bottom of our leg here on the underside, trying to get those nice and strong, crucial for balance. Let's jump into that in 3, 2, 1. Push it up nice and full and tall. Coming up onto our toes, squeezing the calf muscles, resisting with our powerful chest and shoulder muscles. All that calf and ankle musculature, crucial for heart health, crucial for circulatory health, crucial for balance. This is great, important work here. It's going to make us feel confident and strong throughout the rest of our week. Pause at 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Good. Always finding our posture, finding our center position again, sitting upright and alert as we get into our next movement. Next movement is going to be horizontal rows. So we're sitting up nice and tall. We're pulling back. Imagine we're really pulling a weight back like we're rowing a boat. Any other movement where we do something like this, that's what we're thinking about. Nice heavy weight in front of us, pulling back, working those back muscles. Let's start into 40 seconds of that in 3, 2, 1. Imagine you're trying to pinch like a pencil or a pen in between your back muscles. So imagine your back. You're trying to hold a pen or pencil back there as you fully retract. Hold it for a second. That's the squeeze we're looking for. And pause. Good. Excellent. One more move here in a few seconds. It's going to be squat to stand. So this is the most basic movement we're looking for. If this is all you could get for right now, that's fine. A little bit more advanced. Come up into a turnaround, walk around, come back down into a squat. Third level to try, squat to calf raise. So coming up from our squat into a calf raise, up onto our toes, hold it for a second. Control, balance is the name of the game here. I'll start off with the most basic version, move through the few options. You find what works for you, and we'll build as we go. Let's start into that in 3, 2, 1. So first thing we're doing is just squatting. Squat to stand out of our chair, trying to keep our hands in front, trying to learn to stand up out of our chair without our arms. If we really need a little push off, that's fine. Trying to get away from that as we go. If you're able to stand up into a full circle turn, that's a good move to add in next. Nice and slowly so we keep our balance. We feel comfortable. Make sure we're turning both ways. But if you're feeling really strong, squat up into a calf raise. Nice balanced squat up into a controlled calf raise. Let's get a few more on this. Hopefully we found the version that works well for us. Next round, we'll focus on that version for the full 40. Excellent. And pause. Great first round, everybody. Great exercises. Few options there along the way. As always, the idea is what can you do with great technique, full intensity for the 40 seconds? And that might be different on different days. That might be different at different points in the workout. Start of the workout, we're still a little cold, still warming up. Maybe we do one version. By the next round, we're doing the more advanced version. That's for you to experiment with a little bit on your end. Find what works best for you, what you could do for the full 40. We're going to be coming right back around to our seated exercises in a moment. We have our leg extensions. We could work on a double leg extension this time if we want. Alternating overhead press, nice and simple. Can use our mind or some small hand weights. Calf raises, crucial exercise. Horizontal row. And then we got our squat to calf raise as well. Those are our 5 moves. Let's jump right into that. Moving right along with our workout. We got leg extensions in 3, 2, 1. So could definitely stick with just the alternating version. Nice squeeze in the quad, sitting upright, remembering all those good cues we've practiced so far. But if you've been around me a while and you've done hundreds of these leg extensions, we could always try a double. Forces us to engage our core a little bit more so that we sit upright. We don't want to lean back. It's not turning into a lean. We're still sitting upright. The movement's coming from our quad extension here. If you want to return to the single leg version at any time, that's fine. This is just a little bit more difficult. Let's work hard for 5 here. And pause. Good. Options, we choose the one that's best for us, that's pushing us while staying manageable and doable. Next up, in a few seconds, we got alternating overhead press. Again, the movement is coming from these powerful shoulder muscles, pushing up overhead. That's what we're imagining. If a few hand weights help us to imagine that even more, that's great, but we don't need them if you don't got them. Whatever you're doing on your end, I'm sure is working for you. Let's jump into that in 3, 2, 1. Working hard for 5 here, everybody. And pause. Great. Great work there. Next up, coming back down to the lower body, we got our calf raises. We're resisting with one part of our body. We're working with the other, using our body against itself to build our muscle. That's totally a good and appropriate and useful method. And we're working on our calves, which are good muscles to work for us, especially on a day dedicated to balance. Let's jump into that in 3, 2, 1. Pushing up nice and hard and fully onto our toes, really feeling the whole calf muscle working. We could check down bottom there, touch it a little bit, feel the different muscles flexing, know what parts of your body are flexing and what are being activated. Developing that mind muscle awareness is crucial. Working hard for 5 here, everybody. And pause. Good. Next up will be horizontal rows. We're pulling back, really imagining a weight in front of us. That cue last time I suggested in the middle of your back. Imagine there's a pencil or a pen. And as you pull back, you're trying to pinch that and be able to hold it with those back muscles. That's just a cue to get the right muscles working. That's what we're focusing on. Let's jump into that in 3, 2, 1. Nice strong pull back. Reach forward. Nice strong active pull back. Reach forward. Working hard for 3, 2, 1. Great work there, everybody. 20 seconds rest. Then we got our squat to stand progression. If you're just standing up out of the chair, if that's what's working you fully now, that's fine. Or we could stand up and do a slow, purposeful turn. That's just working our balance a little bit more. Or we could, most difficult, squat up and come up right into a controlled calf raise. So that third option is really about controlling the whole movement. 3 options, find what works best for you and work it for the 40. Let's do that in 3, 2, 1. So we could just come up out of our chair. Come up out of our chair and do a short turnaround. Make sure we're turning directions and working the circle in both ways. Or we could come up into that calf raise. Nice hold there. Working the balance. Working hard for 5. Let's finish on a stand here. I'm going to get one more in. Let's finish on the stand together. And we're there. Great work, everybody. Now we're standing. Let me adjust my camera. Great work, everybody. Really starting to turn up the balance focus on our next 5 exercises. We got that chair close to us, could be right in front of us, right off to the side. We know we could always grab it. I'll show you how to work it in, but a lot of times I'll be moving it. Just always have that chair nearby if you need to grab it. So the first move we're going to do, again, you could be right behind the chair. We're just going to do marches. Trying to get nice and high. No need to do these super fast. Nice and slow and purposeful. Trying to get that knee off the ground, or the foot off the ground, that knee nice and high. That's what we're focusing on here, getting the elbows nice and high too. That's the start of our balance work, just alternating between different sides of our body. That's training us. We want to keep the upper body working here too, so we're just going to do push-aways. Opposite arm, pushing away. From the other side, trying to lengthen our spine. The focus here is not full extension of the arm, but full extension of the spine. Third movement are going to be toe to heel rockers. So we're going to do calf raise on our chair and come back onto our heels. So rocking from the toe to the heel as far on the range of motion as we can. So this is about balance. We'll feel a little bit less like we're really working the muscles maybe, but we're working on the balance, the movement from our heel to our toe. We've got that chair right in front of us for the 40 seconds. That's developing our balance there as well. Fourth movement will be a side lunge or just a side step. We could come all the way out into a deep lunge if we feel good on that, if that feels strong. But if that feels a little weird, it can be a difficult movement. We'll just step out to the side. So we don't need to go into the full lunge. We could just step out to the side, again, working the balance. We'll work all one leg one time and all the next leg the second time around. And then the fourth move will be our pure balance work. Going to go for the knee lift, but we heard that that could be difficult. It is a challenge. So instead, the other option is to just do a heel lift. So that's a little bit more difficult to get the knee up, but if we're still working on our balance and we can just get that heel off the ground, going towards the back, that might be an easier position to hold for 40 seconds of balance. Those are our 5 exercises. We're going to move through them with some pace so we definitely get to our meditation, but there's plenty of balance work coming next week. So let's jump into that together. 40 seconds of work. We have marches coming nice and high as we could get with those knees and elbows. Good form. Chairs nearest for support. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. Let's work hard for 5 here. And pause. Good. Marches. Next up, we're going to have pushaways. So opposite arm pushing up, opposite arm pushing down, then reverse directions. But notice I'm never coming to full extension. I'm not trying to, it's not an arm exercise. I come up to just about full extension, about 90%, but I'm stretching the spine. That's the visual, imaginative focus there. Let's do that in 3, 2, 1. So good breathing as we do this, good posture. Let's work hard on this for 5. And pause. Excellent work. Next up, we're definitely going to be behind our chair. We're using that chair for support. And we're doing toe to heel rockers. So we're coming up onto our toes, coming back onto our heels, rocking it gently but controlled. As we go, hopefully we'll find more and more of a rhythm where we could come up further onto the heels, further onto the toes. We'll feel that out as we go. Start controlled, develop the range of motion as we go. Let's do that in 3, 2, 1. Let's work hard for 5, everybody. And finish. Good. Excellent work there. Again, all good balance work, but working the muscles of our legs, working the whole calf, the ankle, all good stuff for us. Part of balance is being able to reach out to the side. It's being able to feel our body in space as it moves to the side. So we're working towards a side lunge here. Is definitely a hope and a focus coming out into a good deep side lunge. But if all we could do for right now is just a shorter step, then that's what we're going to work. We're going to work the step out to the side, going as far as we can that feels comfortable, not pushing ourselves into a place that feels uncomfortable and definitely not painful or anything like that. So let's stay on the left side here, find that range of motion, that body position that works well for you, that feels good. But we're working that sideways lateral movement in 3, 2, 1. See, as I'm feeling this movement out, I'm sort of adjusting where I like my body to be. I've moved a little bit more towards the right to start my movement. So find where the movement works well for you, where you're using the chair, where this left leg feels good, where it feels like you're using your glute and your quad and your hamstring and all those leg muscles in balance. And that's what we're working. Even if it's just a short range of motion, wherever you're getting to, I'm happy with that. Let's work hard for 5 here. And pause. Excellent. Good. We got one more movement. We're going to work our do our straight balance work. So the hope, this is sort of the strongest version of what we can do, but this is definitely difficult. So if you struggled with that before, and sorry if I didn't notice, then we're going to look just to lift that heel up. This is another great balance to hold. Work on getting away from the chair. Maybe just keep one finger on the chair if that helps you to feel balanced. Feel out the most difficult version you could do well for 40 seconds. That's what we're looking for. Let's jump into that. Some balance work in 3, 2, 1. So maybe you're just here. That's where you like to be. Good. You can work on pulling your hands away from the chair. Always know it's there. We could also get into this forward version, a little bit more difficult, but if you're ready for it, if you've done it before, let's get there for our last 20 seconds together. We could lower that leg in 3, 2, 1. Great work, everybody. I'm going to grab a quick drink of water. Then we're going to work pretty quickly through this last set. I want to get to our poem still. Want to get to that meditation period. So I'm going to drop one of the exercises out, the push-aways. We're doing a lower body balance focus today. So we'll drop that out so we get to our poem in a good amount of time. Well, let's jump back in these movements together one more round, and we'll make sure we get our right side nice and balanced out. We've got marches to start. Let's jump in 3, 2, 1. So again, aiming to get the knees nice and high. We don't need to rush through this, but wherever they could get to, wherever you are free enough, wherever your body is able to move freely enough to get to, that's what's going to work on our balance. Freedom and balance. Work hard for 5, everybody. And break. Excellent. So we are going to skip those push-aways, but we'll do our toe to heel rockers in a few seconds. Start to get a nice rhythm with this. Be able to come up a little further onto the toe, onto the toes, a little bit back further onto the heel, knowing we got the support of that chair right in front of us. Let's do that together in 3, 2, 1. Let's hold, work for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, moving right along. We want to get to our meditation. Good little sprint here at the end of our work. We'll get into a few short side lunges to the right, balance hold on the right side as well. Again, if it's just a step out to the side, if that's all we could handle for now, that's fine. As we get more confident, coming out further into that lunge, if we're feeling comfortable with that, let's do that in 3, 2, 1. As we're working this balance stuff, especially, remember we're under control. So at any point, we could pause in our movement, control, hold ourselves. That's what balance is about. Let's do 3 more reps. 2 and 3. Good. Let's go right into a little bit of a balance hold. Stick with me if you can. Finish strong through the end here. We're going to work this right leg. And we'll go into that in 3, 2, 1. If this is the balance we can handle, that's a good start to spot, or good spot to start. Trying to hold this as long as we can, but if we're feeling confident, can get that right leg up. This is great work as well. We're holding this strong through the end here. We got meditation up next. We'll be relaxing in a few seconds. Work hard, stay strong. Working hard for 3, 2, 1. Excellent work out there, everybody. Let's return to our seat. I'm going to drop a poem into the chat that we'll do some meditation with. Excellent job today, everybody. Good to be with you. As always, one of my favorite methods of meditation is broadly the mantra tradition or the sacred word tradition, centering prayer. Sometimes in the West, it's called Lectio Divina. Sometimes in the West, it's called lots of different names, lots of different approaches. But in all the different traditions, there's a sense that a word can be sacred. A word is sacred. The word is sacred. And so sometimes we're given or receive a word. Sometimes it's from a sacred tradition. Sometimes it's from a teacher. Sometimes it could just be from a song, a poem, a book we read. But it's the practice of being hit, being affected, being grabbed. You encounter something and it hits you. Maybe it's an image, it's a word, it's a phrase, it's a feeling. But we get hit by it, affected by it. We sit with it, we chew on it, we digest it. That's the idea of this strand of meditation. And so I like to bring contemporary poetry into this. And we have a poem today by William Stafford called Afterwards. And so what I'm going to do is read this once and invite you to listen for a word or phrase that strikes you. Then sit with that word or phrase, repeat it gently to yourself along with your breathing. And then I'll read once more for closing. The poem is in the chat. There's a well-formatted version in one of the link that I dropped in there. But follow along in whatever way feels good for you. Again, don't be looking. It's not about looking for the right thing out there. It's about letting the thing hit you. It's about letting the feeling, the word, the phrase hit you and being affected by that, sitting with that, letting reality affect you and seeing what it means for you. Let's find a good contemplative posture. If you like to sit cross-legged, you're certainly welcome to, or with your feet flat on the floor, a comfortable, engaged position. And this is the poem Afterwards by William Stafford. Mostly you look back and say, well, okay, things might have been different, sure, and it's too bad. But look, things happen like that. And you did what you could. You go back and pick up the pieces. There's tomorrow. There's that long bend in the river on the way home. Fluffy bursts of milkweed are floating through shafts of sunlight or disappearing where trees reach out from their deep, dark roots. Maybe people have to go in and out of shadows till they learn that floating, that immensity waiting to receive whatever arrives with trust. Maybe somebody has to explore what happens when one of us wanders over near the edge and falls for a while. Maybe it was your turn. And so now that we're familiar with the poem, I'll read the poem once more. And this time, let yourself be affected by a word or phrase or an image. And then sit with that word, phrase, or image silently along with your breath. And just dwell on it, chew on it, sit in it. Mostly you look back and say, well, okay, things might have been different, sure, and it's too bad. But look, things happen like that. And you did what you could. You go back and pick up the pieces. There's tomorrow. There's that long bend in the river on the way home. Fluffy bursts of milkweed are floating through shafts of sunlight or disappearing where trees reach out from their deep, dark roots. Maybe people have to go in and out of shadows till they learn that floating, that immensity, waiting to receive whatever arrives with trust. Maybe somebody has to explore what happens when one of us wanders over near the edge and falls for a while. Maybe it was your turn. So sit gently with your word or phrase for a few moments, falling into it, chewing on it, dwelling in it. And to close our meditation, I'll read this poem once more. Afterwards by William Stafford. Mostly you look back and say, well, okay, things might have been different, sure, and it's too bad. But look, things happen like that, and you did what you could. You go back and pick up the pieces. There's tomorrow. There's that long bend in the river on the way home. Fluffy bursts of milkweed are floating through shafts of sunlight or disappearing where trees reach out from their deep, dark roots. Maybe people have to go in and out of shadows till they learn that floating, that immensity waiting to receive whatever arrives with trust. Maybe somebody has to explore what happens when one of us wanders over near the edge and falls for a while. Maybe it was your turn. And so we wait to be hit by a poem, by a word, by a phrase. We wait to be affected by life. And I think the line in the poem, to receive whatever arrives with trust, is a little bit what meditation is about. and what this kind of meditation teaches us: to receive what arrives, what comes at you today, and how are you accepting it, welcoming it, loving it. Welcoming the stranger is a huge tradition in all of the great world religions and philosophies. I think of Judaism, welcoming the stranger, a crucial part of that spirituality. I think of the Greeks, where welcoming a guest was a big part of their morality, their vision, their sense of what the good life is. And so too with all of life, we learn to be able to welcome and accept. And that's a little bit of what this poem was about for me, and I hope you found something in it. Know that this is a small piece of a meditation. In a longer version, small sample, in a longer version, you might sit with that word or phrase for 10, 15, 20 minutes, just repeating it, letting it sink into your heart, sink into your soul, sink into your mind. But I hope you take something from even our little sample of an experience. I hope you have a great remainder to your day, and I look forward to you seeing you next week.
Hi, everyone. This is Z from Yonkers Public Library. Thanks so much to Sally Pinto and Alexis and Barbara from Newark. Thank you to our community partners, WJCS, the City of Yonkers Office for the Aging, Westchester County Legislator Ruth Walter, Friends of Crestwood Library, and Yonkers Public Library for making this phenomenal partnership. And we thank each and every one of you for being part of our wellness community. Be well, stay well.